Alright everybody, welcome back. It has been too long since I've posted a video, so I wanted to get something up and out for you guys. The summer kind of got away, as you can tell. It's clearly winter time here in the Midwest, and we kind of were busy getting things ready and together for the Mustang here. I had the engine off to BES. We dropped that off, I don't know, June-ish or so. And I just got a call from them the other day. It's going to be ready here the first week in January. So that really puts us to a point where we can start creating some content again. I do know that I have the Trans Am, but I made a decision. The car runs and drives. I didn't want to start taking it apart too deep and have two cars down at the same time. So I opted to, kind of pause on content for a little bit. Wait for us to get the engine back from BES, which it's going to be stellar, and I'll cover all that in a following video. I did do the K-member, control arms, the whole Team Z front suspension. That video has already been recorded. I actually recorded it when I did it. I need to edit it and get it up. So things are going to be out of order a little bit because we did the K-member a while ago, and when I knew I wouldn't have content for a while, I kind of paused on everything so I could start to continuously and repetitively put out content for you guys. So I opted just to hold on to it for the time being. But update on the Mustang. Throughout the summer, on top of attending, during our off period, World Cup finals there in Maryland, the import versus domestic stuff, which was spectacular. We didn't race. We had friends there that raced. It was a great time to hang out and see everybody. That race is always top notch as far as the entertainment is just next level. Everyone there is super nice. Great time. Went to PRI. If you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you'll notice we posted some stuff from there. Just different things throughout the summer. We kind of stayed involved in the community while our project was kind of on hold. I did take that time to basically collect all our parts. So there's also a video that's been recorded where I went to Rossler Transmissions to pick up the Turbo 400 for this car, which it's actually setting in the front of this car, awaiting the return of the engine so that I can put all that in. And that'll all be content that's recorded. We've got all the fuel tech components here for our wiring guy, which will be some content, and you guys will get to meet him. His name is Jeff. I'm super excited to work with him. The car in February timeframe is designated to go to Gary Road Race Cars, and he's going to do our cage. Talk to him. We're going to do an 850 cert cage to start with the understanding that we're probably going to add to it as we pick up speed and time and experience. So I didn't want to get too deep because I want to get the car out this summer and start making content with it. But I also want to be extremely safe. I want to make sure I'm making the right decisions for myself and my health and well-being, as well as providing you guys continuous content. So Weld Racing, we got wheels for the car. If you see now, the wheels that are on the car are actually from our black S550 when we bought it. We put them on here just to roll it around and stuff, but we've got a full drag pack for the car, which you might be able to see through the window. It's storing parts currently. We've got so much going on. Today, what I'm going to cover is the S197 platform is a little tough with doing a removable steering wheel, at least from the information and things that I've found, and what's available out there and not on back order or whatever else. So I wanted one of the MPI steering wheels. I think they're making some of the best steering wheels in the game. I had purchased an MPI steering wheel for this car from Motion probably this time last year when I first started the channel, and bought a Motion quick release. Again, I think Motion's knocking it out of the park. This car is probably a rolling catalog for Motion stuff because I've got their shifter I've got to put in, which will be content. They're making top-notch stuff. So the issue I had when I talked to Motion and told them what I was doing is they don't sell an adapter for this car, and I'll explain that. So I wanted an adapter. I wanted to use the factory column and such because I'd like to be able to do some drag and drive stuff with this car. So I didn't want to have to redo turn signals and all the controls on the column. So I want to maintain my column and everything that goes there. The key, I wanted the car to operate on multiple factors, using a key as a safety measure, as well as other stuff that we'll have Jeff put in place for the car. I see tons of race car theft. So one of the organizations just posted the other day about it, like securing your purchases, securing your trailer, insuring all your stuff. Like, and while we're insured, we still, we want to make it as hard as possible. So I want to maintain the factory column. Motion doesn't sell a component for S197 for the column. They were super upfront with me. They even gave me a competitor's name that does sell an adapter. So I bought the MPI wheel. I bought the quick disconnect, the SFI quick release, from Motion. I ordered from NRG the adapter for the column to adapt S197 out. And then that's when things got a little more complicated. So I had the Motion quick disconnect, which the male end that stays on the column has 3 holes in it. And they're designed to work with like the Grant adapters for like GM or the other Ford adapters that Grant makes that are 3 holes. So I completely get Motion's portion of this. And like I said, they've been extremely helpful. I bought the NRG parts. Issue there, the MPI steering wheel is 5-hole. The quick release from Motion is 5-hole on the steering wheel side, 3-hole on the column side. So I had to find a way to adapt that. So NRG, I ended up trying to look at getting an NRG SFI rated quick release. I ordered it 6 months ago, and it just kept getting back ordered and back ordered and back ordered and back ordered. So what I opted to do was kind of put it on hold. I knew I had to have the steering wheel in, and I need to get my seats, my race seats mounted before this goes to Gary Rowe Race Cars so that he can put the cage in properly and brace the seats and all the things that need to happen for safety and the rules. So I got fortunate enough that I was at PRI, and MPI had a booth there, and a young man that works there for them named Seth was an exceptional help. I went into the booth, I told him exactly what I had, told him I'd ordered these parts, and they just keep getting back ordered month after month after month. I kind of asked if he had any ideas or solutions. He gave me his number, told me to call the warehouse after PRI. I did that, and he and I got on a FaceTime call, and I literally showed him the parts I had. He had an idea of a piece. We measured everything out to see if it would work. It was basically a 3-hole to 6-hole adapter, and I'll show you all that in a minute because we're actually going to set this thing the rest of the way up and kind of put it together. So he had this adapter. It was like $53. So I called, canceled my NRG order that I've been waiting on forever, which was like almost $200. So he sold me a $53 part. So I basically saved $150, and he was extremely nice. MPI gave me probably some of the best customer service. They're right up there with the folks at Motion Raceworks. Every time I've ever called them, they've given me a ton of answers. So I have the adapter here. It will work with the NRG column adapter that we're going to install. It will also work with the 3 holes in the male end of this. The only issue that I have is the 3 holes in the Motion side are designed for a bolt to pass through and a nut on the other end. So I am going to drill and tap those 3 holes to fit a 5/16 bolt that came with the adapter from MPI, but it will also thread in. So drilling and tapping that should put all of it together and allow us to get this whole removable quick release steering wheel installed. I'll grab the wheel and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about though. All right guys, so I want to kind of show you what we have here. So we have the MPI wheel here, 5 holes. We have the Motion quick release here. That's this whole back unit. And like I said, you can see, well, I hope you can see, it's 3 holes. So what we're going to do is drill in, these need to be slightly bigger. So I'm going to drill them and run a tap through them to thread it for 5/16. The adapter to go from the NRG column adapter to this is threading countersunk on this back side here. So when I drill and tap this, this will thread and go right in there, and then it'll give me 5 holes around or 6 holes around the outside to mount to the NRG piece, and then that works. And then the steering wheel will basically, you can see it kind of just will separate as we expect. So that's the goal. Next steps, I'm going to drill and tap this guy out and thread that piece on. And I'll show you guys the piece real quick too, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So here's our piece from MPI. You can see it's countersunk. Well, hopefully you can see it here. It's countersunk on one side, 3 holes, 6 holes around the outside. That there will, the countersunk side will be the bottom. This will be the side that goes up to the motion piece, and the wheel will be over here. So this $53 part that Seth found for me is probably going to save the day, save me 150 bucks, and finally get this steering wheel on the car. So again, huge shout out to the team at MPI, hands down customer service. Huge shout out to Motion. The two of them basically helped me work together to get this figured out. So I'm going to dig in, drill and tap this. Then we've got to get the old steering wheel off, the adapter on, and then we'll get all this together. But I want to get all this together and mocked up before we take the steering wheel off. So next steps, I'm going to drill and tap this. All right, so you can see here kind of what we have. Like I said, we have to drill these out. They're a little smaller than we need. The bolt that MPI gives you is a 5/16-18 nut. Clearly doesn't fit in there, but it is the guy that goes into this hole here. So we're going to drill this out to make it just a smidge bigger. I did take and put a small piece of tape on the end of my drill bit here because I'm going to leave it locked into the quick release, but I don't want to get into my quick release. So I'm actually going to drill it short, and then I'll take and pass it the rest of the way through after I disconnect it from here. That way I don't get into my stuff at all. I also wanted to show you guys, I showed you kind of what we're doing here, showed the MPI deal. But I also wanted to give you the part number for the S197 guys who are trying to do this quick release deal. I kind of did the legwork for people to figure it out. So Motion doesn't sell this, but I bought this from NRG, and it is part number SRK1-193H. You can see it here. This part here goes into the column. This part here adapts to the wheel. The issue I had was I have 3 holes, on my mail end for here. Or if I was going to even do the steering wheel direct and not do a quick release, this is 6 hole, I need a 5 hole, which MPI also makes an adapter for. But what we're going to do is we're essentially going to adapt this guy so the 3 holes line up with our 3 holes here. The 6 holes line up with this 6 holes here. This will be mounted to the column, and then I can quick disconnect down here. So that's the plan. Wanted to show everybody the parts that we actually have and what we're doing. So we're going to dig in, we're going to drill this out, hopefully not make an absolute disaster of my quick release, but I think we've got it. Like I said, it's we're going to do a 5/16-18. I bought a thing from just Home Depot. It's the bit and tap you need for it, so that'll be easy. You'll also notice I bought a little countersink bit. The other hardware that came with this MPI adapter is for these to mount to that NRG piece. They give you countersunk hardware, but this piece isn't countersunk. So I'll bump all these real lightly to countersink them for the machine head screws. It won't take very much at all. That'll clean that up, and that'll be done. So then we'll have this all together. The next step then, which I will likely do in another video so I don't make this one extremely long and boring for you guys, is I will do the actual install of the NRG into the car and this, so that you guys can see all of it after I've mocked it up and got it together, put it in the car. I have a feeling that I'll probably have to rotate, like I just lightly finger tightened all this on. I'm sure I will have to rotate the steering wheel on the quick release and or remove the knuckle from the Flaming River steering rack, which is in another video. I'll have to remove it where we installed it so that I can rotate it on the spline to make the steering wheel straight. I'm super weird. My wheel has to be straight. Plus I intend on using the the buttons here for trans brake, line lock, any of the functions I may need to stage the car, I want to have here. That was the whole reason for doing the wheel. So without further ado, I will dig in and start drilling this. So let's, I should be using a drill press as well. I know that, but here we are. So looks like it really, okay. Interestingly enough, the bit that they give is the exact size. I thought it would be different. So it looks like I can just tap this. So that's awesome because I didn't really want to have to drill this. So tapping it, again, I'll go part of the way in, not all the way till it bottoms out, and then I'll disconnect it and go all the way through. So let me get this tap set up and then I'll bring you guys back in. All right, so we're gonna tap this thing here. Hopefully this goes as planned, but that's what we're gonna start to do here. Try and cut threads into this guy. Hopefully. Well, my tap is rotating in here. Maybe I don't have it in here good. Let's get this all put together. Make sure I capture everything the way we want to capture it. One of the biggest thing is making sure this is square. That's the biggest thing. So it's allowing my tap to rotate in the holder here, which we do not want. So our holder for our die is not, or our tap is not holding well at all. This is not what we want. We do not want that to rotate in there. And I honestly don't know, understand exactly how it is managing to rotate in there because it seems to be captured pretty well. There, we got it. It wants to cut and then it backs out. I think we're getting there now. So I'll get this tapped and we will come back to you guys. All right, gang, so you can see here we've got all three of these tapped. The hardware that came with the MPI adapter here, all threads right in now. So these three holes, line with those three, we put those in. That'll mount the male end of our quick disconnect here to the steering column. So we've got that done. The next thing we have to do, the opposite side of this here, we need to chamfer these 6 holes because it also came with machine head screws for this side. This will thread into this here. So those will line up there. So we need to chamfer it so the screws all sit nice and flush and down in there. And then these will come through into our male piece and that'll stay on the column. So next step is to chamfer the opposite side of this 3 holes here. I'll do that now and I'll come back. Like I said, I don't want to bore you guys with me just sitting here drilling stuff and tapping stuff. Also, I wanted to give the part number for this adapter. So the MPI-A-3/6 BLT. Hold it up to the camera there for you so that you can see it. It came with hardware, it came with everything. So like I said, if you get the Motion Raceworks quick release, an MPI steering wheel, do the mods that I did with tapping these and chamfering those, then the NRG, what do we got? SRK193H, that will adapt a quick release steering wheel to an 07 Mustang GT factory steering column, so that you can retain your turn signals and all those controls there that work with the body control module. So let me chamfer these holes, and then I'll come back. We'll go ahead and mount this to the quick release once I have those all chamfered on the other side, because I can release that to mount it when I do the actual video for putting the adapter on the column and then threading this in, which should be pretty quick. So let me chamfer these and we'll come right back. So you can see we've got our adapter chamfered out here so that these screws can go through, which will allow them to go through here into this and not stick out on this side too much. This side here will go into there, and that will get our everything mocked up and ready to go in the car. So then we will put the NRG adapter on the column. We'll have to remove the factory airbag, and we will have to remove the actual steering wheel. Then you basically slide that on, put the nut on. I'll thread this onto there, which will have our mail in for our steering wheel, and we should be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead, now that we have these all chamfered, they're threaded, so they stay in there, and then I will pop this baby on here, and we should be good to go as far as everything lining up and working how we expect it to work. So yeah, I mean, we're there. So last things last, the 3 bolts that go through here just thread into where I tapped them here. I'll put them in lightly here, and then I'll use a ratchet to tighten it down. If you hear background noise, I have neighbors, so I do apologize if you hear any background noise. But yeah, gang, this is it. So I'll take a ratchet, tighten these guys up, and I'll show you the end game here. Let's get this all put in on here. But now this here, I don't know if you can see it here in the camera or not. This here now just bolts to the car adapter. So it'll go together like that. And we have a functioning removable steering wheel. All right, guys, so there we got it. So you can see we have these all in there. They're threaded. It's on there. That all works just as you would expect there. Like I said, all 3 are on. If you look at the other side, it is set up for, the bolts are there already. The quick release, if I quick release it here, you'll see it comes apart. There's our male side. It's all threaded in and locked in there. Here are our bolts for our adapter. Our adapter will go on the car. These will line up with that. So then we will just have our steering wheel that we pop on and off as we see fit. So that's kind of how we do that. In our next video, I will actually be installing this on the car. I'll be removing the airbag, the factory steering wheel, putting this on. Once I get this on, I'll thread this on, and the steering wheel will be set up. Then next we'll be starting on doing our seat conversion. So for our seat conversion, what we're going to do is we have a Racetech seat that we bought. We found them online. Or I'm sorry, not online. We found them at PRI, thanks to a buddy of ours who had purchased a seat from them, and at the end of the show had asked me to pick it up. I went by the booth to grab a seat. We chit-chatted with their team, and the seats are phenomenal. So we're going to put a containment seat from Racetech on the driver's side. For now, I have a Kirky for the passenger side. I don't really intend on having passengers frequently. The only time would be maybe if we had the drag and drive. But a lot of the classes we are intending on racing require 2 seats. So factory seats are out. We want to get these 2 seats in for Gary Rowe race cars to be able to have everything there when he does the cage. Like I said, I wanted the steering wheel in. I want the seats in. I'd like to have my Motion Raceworks shifter in, as well as the motor and transmission. I don't know if I'm going to get my converter in time. I still need a converter and a drive shaft. I talked to the folks at Circle D at PRI. They gave me some information, emailed it to me. So we have a plan there. The drive shaft shop, we're going to do a one-piece carbon fiber. Right now we have the factory 8.8 in here that has the flange on it to get things going so that the car can move under its own power as quick as possible. We're going to change out the flange for a strange deal on the back for the pinion to be able to put a normal drive shaft in instead of using the flange system. And then that should have the drive line pretty much tied up. We will do axles, all the rear end stuff. We have to do a gear. I think this car came like factory with the 315 gear or whatever. So we have to do those things. The rear end will be before we race, but ideally I want this car operating under its own power so I can move it around the shop. It makes it easier for me to load, to take to other folks. And this also involves, we need to get things together for our wiring guy to get in here, start doing stuff with the fuel tech. The setup we have for mounting the dash and the factory gauge cluster for the fuel tech, super trick. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. Like I said, we have a ton of parts. We're ready to go. We just needed the motor back from BES, and I mean, they're always busy. We understood that. They were honest with us up front. So I'm excited to get the thing, start putting this thing back together, and really forge forward. We essentially have, I'm going to say 6 months, but ideally it's 3 or 4 months that I'd like to have things going. I could make passes in the Trans Am, but I've shared in the previous videos, I know it has a rear main leak. I think it has a valve cover leak. Anything that's dripping any kind of oil whatsoever, I'm not taking it to the track. I want to get that LS tore apart. I can do that so that this car still moves under its own power. I can get our motor that we're going to put in apart, ready to be cleaned up, checked over. The idea behind it, honestly, is we have a different machine shop than BES in mind for that project. But ideally, I'd like to use the stock bottom end so that we can, as long as the cam journals are good, bearings look good, all that kind of stuff, I'll move forward with what we've got bottom end wise for now. I see a ton of people with these 5.3s making 1,000+ horsepower. We're not trying to do anything like that. I'd like to get, like the Huron Speed turbo kit, single turbo this deal. So the Mustang's twin, this is single. Gives us a little bit more options for some other classes or things we can do. I know the rear end and these are weak, so I know at some point I'm going to have to upgrade the rear end on this thing. But right now, the focus is getting this car together so that we have a vehicle to make content with outside of like our S550. We don't really take it to the drag strip. I know everyone's interested in seeing it. I've had 100 people at car shows and everything else ask me. I just have a really hard time abusing that car. It's a super nice car. We've been fortunate enough. We worked with the folks over at Finish Line Performance. Jason over there has been hands down beyond helpful. I'm blessed that, my group of friends have all supported and kind of coached me along on that car. And it's been the same way with all my projects. So a couple other things we have going on in the shop that you guys are going to see some content on soon is, in front of the S197 here, you're going to see a C7 Stingray. A buddy of mine, Ray, he's wanting to do some head work, a cam, converter, some other stuff. We're kind of on hold with using the lift on the Mustang right now. We can put the motor in from without the lift. So we opted to let him use our lift, and we're going to make some content on his car as well. So you'll see some C7 content on here. It's a buddy's car. We try to all work together. Like I said, a lot of these folks are long-term friends from the time I was 16 or 17. So you'll see people pass through, and that's what, part of my shop's about, is trying to work with these guys, and they help me out too. So, like I'm going to need a second set of hands to get the engine in this thing, get the transmission up and in it. So it's all a trade-off, and we're happy to do that. So last but not least, big shout out to Carl at Hat Clean. Carl has done beanies and hats for us. So make sure you go to our website, www.torquepp.com. It's the first link in the description, and check out, we're going to have our hats and beanies for sale on the website. And make sure you check out hatclean.com, HATCLEAN.com. And he sells a really cool product as well, where you pre-treat a hat and it'll keep you from having sweat rings and just gross hats. So he was nice enough to give me a bottle of it with my own hat that I got for myself that you'll see here on the channel. But you can see I'm wearing one of his beanies here in this video. So huge shout out to Carl. Thank you, Carl, for doing those beanies and hats for us. Be good to each other. We appreciate you watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Comment if there's things you want to see or things you feel like I missed. I'm glad to share them with you. I welcome your comments because it helps me make the channel better. And have a great day. Thanks for watching.